consultant, producer, and broadcaster.
In December 2022, the National Insurance Commission, Naicom, announced a raise in the premium of compulsory motor vehicle third-party insurance cover for motorists from 5,000 naira to 15,000 naira with effect from January 2023. Consequently, from January 1st, 2023, the third-party property damage, which is the limit of claims an insured can enjoy on policy for private vehicles, has now been increased to 3 million naira for the new premium of 15,000 naira, while the limit for own goods has been increased to 5 million naira with a new premium of 20,000 naira. Insurance premium rate payable on staff buses is now 20,000, and the TPPD would be 3 million naira. In Nigeria, every driver must obtain third-party insurance to drive legally. This is the minimum insurance requirement for every motorist in the country. The intent is to make sure that other road users get reasonable compensation, indemnity, for damages to vehicles or injuries caused by event of an accident. Today with me in the studio, live from our Abuja studios, is the Commissioner for Insurance and Chief Executive Officer of the National Insurance Commission, Mr. Olusegun Ayomoseyin. Thank you so much. To look at his efforts aimed at, of course, revamping Naicom. A lot of work has been done before, but consolidating on that and more activities around him. Thank you so much. It's good to have you in.
Thank you, Tolu. Good afternoon, Nigerians. I'm happy to be here.
Thank you very much. I think before we go to the third parties, because it's a big story and we will get there, but let's start with issues around new capital requirements. That's talking about capital requirements for the insurance industry. There's been a lot of work around that space. How has this move affected market consolidation, and what are the challenges or successes that you've observed since you got into office?
Thank you once again, Tolu. I think the issue of capital has been in our radar for some years now. If you recall, in 2019, there was a pronouncement by the then administration to increase minimum share capital requirements of our operators. But this was subsequently suspended in 2020 due to the massive effect of COVID. For COVID being a pandemic, it was a bit difficult to estimate what the likely impact would be. And as a regulator, you don't want to marry that with even the challenge of running a business during that kind of period. So that had to be suspended. But fast forward, now we have, I think all of these were what actually went into the works in terms of the reforms, we are putting ahead for the sector. And I think you clearly identify one key element in this process, which is moving the minimum capital requirements of institutions to what we consider would really be able to deliver a more stable and sound sector, right, to be able to support the Nigerian economy. So all the works are in progress, and I would just like to skip that bit of it until when we've gotten enough clarity to share with Nigerians. All right. But a lot of work is going on in that respect.
Insurance penetration is also something that I've talked about many times. Anytime I have the opportunity to...
The risk protection mechanisms that have been provided by insurance, both to individuals, families, and even to businesses. So on our part, as a regulator, we're doing a whole lot in this regard. Foremost of this is actually looking at the legal and the regulatory environment that will really allow insurance sector to thrive. One of these is we've seen tremendous opportunities in microinsurance. Wow. So we are licensing more and more microinsurance institutions, also due to the fact that we recognize that religion is a major factor in the Nigerian space. So we have a huge population of Muslims. So we're also licensing takaful operators, which takes care of some religious beliefs and for those that believe in ethical kind of business. So, and I think that is making some good progress. But above all, I think what is important for us is the openness. As a regulator, we are now a lot more innovative, more receptive to innovation, a lot more in terms of, because we have the regulatory sandbox where we take ideas and we're ready to incubate and work with operators. More importantly, we're also looking at the current guidelines around web aggregators. These are areas that regulate the activities of insurtechs amongst us. And the reason is not far-fetched. We want to see those areas that are still inhibiting the growth in that space. All of these are things that we are putting together to see how insurance can actually come to the table. But more importantly is the fact that we are now also trying to enforce some level of compulsory insurances. I think in your intro, you did allude to the fact that there was some work done around third-party motor insurance.
Yeah.
Those are areas I would love to talk on more as the interview progresses.
Indeed, I know you will. Digital transformation, before we go to a third party, how well are you also, taking advantage of technology to streamline regulatory processes and, of course, compliance? How has that been? What initiatives are you looking at?
Thank you, Tolu. For us, e-regulation, like we call it, is that project the National Insurance Commission has actually imbibed and had put in place a couple of years back. For us, e-regulation is like a journey, right? It's not a destination, because it involves three key things. It involves processes, people, and even the actual technology that will be adopted in the process. We've made tremendous progress in this area, and we are quite proud with what we've achieved. But are we there yet? I'll say no, because, like I said, it's a journey, but we're making steady progress. So currently, as I speak, we have a portal, what we call the Naicom portal. Naicom portal is an electronic portal that enables us and our operators to be able to file their regulatory returns, electronically, allows us to be able to do the analysis of those returns, giving us the advantage of analytics and what have you, to be able to get some, take some, informed decisions around the market. Also, in terms of licensing, most of our agents today do not need to have any interface with us at the commission. They can do that online. And a couple of other interesting stuff. The Complaint Bureau, for instance, which is our consumer protection unit, we have a portal that takes complaints from members of the public. And like that's one integral part of our mandate, to be able to protect Nigerian people and get the benefit they deserve from paying that small premium contribution they've made, in terms of their policies.
Let's now talk about the third-party insurance for vehicles. I see that I saw you met with an urgent police force, federal road safety. You went everywhere, and I see that enforcement is round the clock everywhere. The compliance is something very serious. Now, my question really would be, is it about revenue? Is it about security, safety? Tell us what really Nigerians need to know about this.
Thanks, Tolu, once again. I think the question is far from the issue of revenue.
Okay.
It's about Nigerians getting to understand the benefits of what is embedded in the third-party motor insurance. And before I go deep into this, I'd like to start by thanking our key stakeholders that have collaborated with us on this project. The Nigerian Police Force, the Federal Road Safety Corps, they've been a major pillar in this regard. Just as a preamble, I think Nigerians need to understand that third-party motor insurance is nothing new. As a matter of fact, you can trace it back to what's it called? Motor Vehicle Third-Party Insurance Act of 1945, Section 3, subsection 1, which was then reenacted in 2003 in the Insurance Act 2003, Section 68, subsection 1, right? And the provisions were very clear, no exemptions. The provision did not exempt anyone. It says no person shall use, cause to use, or even authorize the use of a vehicle on Nigerian road without a policy of insurance, at least the minimum, which is third party. And the advantage is, if you don't love yourself, but please, let's make provision for that liability or the risk that machine poses to other road users. So essentially, is for protection, to give victims of road accidents succor, such that we do not have instances where there are accidents on our road, victims are left unattended, and God forbid, sometimes even in the event of death, You know, there are injuries, third-party damage, and what have you, and death in some instances. And these are things we see all around. Now, we've been able to activate this to start a major, enforcement, and which we got the collaboration of both the Nigerian Police and the Federal Road Safety Corps. Mm-hmm. Now, one other benefit I omitted, though, was the fact that even the third-party cover gives you access to all the West African ECOWAS region. You can drive that vehicle with your valid third party to any country within the ECOWAS region. You are covered on what's it called? Third party liability risk. So what that does is to give you, as an individual, the peace of mind, right? The peace of mind to operate without having to, be too much skeptical in terms of, if I create or if I had an accident, how will I manage the liability that will arise? And honestly, also Nigeria needs to know, time is no longer fashionable that we should be begging when there are accidents, begging others, pleading, and all. You do not require it because the law has mandated that minimum cover required you should take. And once you've taken, but the important thing also I must mention is the fact that buy the genuine third party.
Yes, I wanted to say that.
Genuine third party.
I heard you say that.
Buy from a licensed, a Naicom licensed or registered insurance company. Because sometimes those are some of the dynamics you see play out, where someone has bought a third party, but bought from, what I call the black market, right? He has not bought genuine third party, and so those certificates are not valid. So Naicom has put in place measures to curb this. One, we have on our website a list of all registered motor insurance companies in Nigeria. Good. And also we have an electronic platform that people can check the status of their vehicles, right? It's very basic. If you have internet service on your phone, it's such a basic platform, mycar.nicom.gov.ng, right? And you just, insert your vehicle registration number. It will give you the status. Whether it's genuine or not, you know it. And there are various other platforms that you can use to confirm this process. I know the Nigerian Insurance Association also has a platform that you can use to confirm. So in a nutshell, the thing is, Nigerians will only get this benefit if they buy the genuine third party. And this is a mandatory requirement of the law, and it's minimum. And if you look at it in terms of cost, honestly, I think Nigeria still has the least in terms of cost for third-party motor insurance. As 15,000 naira, that's just barely $10, right, per annum, and you have cover for 12 months.
Well, education, yes, Nigerians need to really get to understand this better. It's a two-in-one question. How much more, how are you trying to, educate Nigerians to really understand all of this more? And the public perception about people not wanting to trust insurance companies, something that you should also be working on. What are you doing around that?
Thank you, Tolu. And I think this is a major project for the National Insurance Commission. Starting point, I'll tell you that as a regulator, one of the key objectives is to ensure that we educate Nigerians on the benefits, of insurance as a sector, and also protect their interest, when claims do arise. So mass education and enlightenment campaign is what we've embarked on. And I can tell you it's one of the reasons I'm here. I'm in your studio because I'm also totally bought on that subject of enlightening Nigerians and being able to push, that concept and get people to ask as many questions as possible. And this is important because I know Nigerians have doubts when it comes to the ability, are we sure? Because what the operators are selling is a promise. Yes, so are we sure in the event of a claim, they will really honor their obligations? And that is where the National Insurance Commission comes in. We are not an operator, we're a regulator. So our role is to ensure that all those promises are met and they are kept because we regulate all the entities. We issue licenses. We also have the ability to take it back if they are not doing the right things. So ours is to give comfort to Nigerians. Where you have issues, come to us. But beyond that, honestly, I think Nigerians really need to take good advantage of the protection that is offered by insurance, right? Especially in an inflationary environment like we have today, right? So I think that has been part of the issues we need to drive, even as a nation, imbibing the insurance culture. You know, being able to, because what insurance does is to take away those headaches from you. As a businessman, you know, it takes away all the risk and allow you to go and venture. So you can take all your risk around how you want to grow your business and what have you, because the risk around failure, around loss of profit, loss of property and what have you, can be properly taken over by the professionals. And that's what you've paid for, right? So where there are issues, the regulator is there to ensure that things are done properly. So essentially, I'm here to give comfort to Nigerians. And beyond that, for this administration, I think it's also important for us to highlight that one of the key priorities of the current leadership of Naicom is to safeguard policyholders' interests, you know, and protect, you know, and be able to rebuild confidence, you know, or public confidence in the insurance sector. And how do I mean? The idea is for us to ensure that every claim, genuine claim in this environment is paid by operators. This is the mantra. What we discuss with our operators is to tell them to find a reason to pay a claim. Find a reason to pay a claim. So if there's a claim, we can guarantee you, once it's genuine, it's not fraudulent, it's not a cooked one, come to us and we'll be rest assured that we'll look into it and we'll call whichever operator into. And I can tell you, our operators have done fantastically well. The unfortunate thing most time is you don't get to hear those good stories, right? Yes, of course, it's the few odd ones, you know, that hit social media and the public space. But I think we also need to do a lot more as a sector in terms of publicizing and putting out there for people to see and hear those positive stories and the good work that we are doing.
Indeed, I think that's very, very, very important. So let's look at market growth moving forward. I remember there was a meeting I attended in Lagos where you had to wield the big stick on one of the companies. You know, they didn't meet up and all of that. So what's the state of the market in its entirety if you had to look at it? And what are the prospects considering our population and, of course, economic potential?
Yeah. This is one key area of excitement for me each time I look at my new role as a regulator. Now, as a regulator, my job cuts across supervision, regulation, and consumer protection, but more importantly, the growth of the sector. Honestly, I get a whole lot of new energy when I look at the growth side of my role. And that is because we have a massive opportunity as a sector because of the population of Nigeria, right? With over 200 million Nigerians, right? It means the opportunity is endless, right? But what do we need to do to get Nigerians to really be interested in the subject or in the concept of insurance? The reason is simple. We need to get Nigerians to begin to have a taste of what they said, the taste of the pudding, right, is in the eating. So until when Nigerians begin to have positive experiences, and that is what we are poised in, you know, making possible, right? And those are the positive stories that also have been coming out now. But we want more and more of this. We want to see growth across the various sectors, right? The informal sector in Nigeria is very huge. MSME is very, very huge in Nigeria. So a number of these young people that are entrepreneurs and want to do things on their own needs to begin to see the protection and enjoy the protection that insurance engenders. So those are areas we are actually deploying a lot of work in terms of growing those spaces and then trying to give the comfort, the right comfort to operators in those various segments, and then get our operators also. And one key element also I must not forget is the fact that part of that process that will give comfort to the Nigerian people is also in terms of the financial soundness of our entities. I will not sit here and pretend that we've not had instances in the past where some of our entities have had issues. However, as regulators, we are quick to quickly interject because there are processes that have been set that have been put in place to ensure that, look, we intervene at the right time. Our entities are now a lot more nimble and they are properly managed because we have we have greater oversight. We've increased the level of our oversight and a lot of more regulatory actions that are currently on. For instance, we have a process where the solvency ratio of institutions are regularly, monitored. So, because we've recently released the solvency control and intervention framework, which we've asked every entity to internalize, where their board have internalized it and they can measure from time to time and know at what point the financial state of those institutions are, and the relevant actions can be taken even before the regulator comes, into play. So we don't want to be undertakers, right? We want those institutions to know at what point they need additional capital, if need be, and where it becomes, very necessary, we can quickly come in and sometimes intervene to ensure that those institutions are up and running. But overall, ours is to ensure the stability of the insurance sector, being a subset of the larger financial services sector.
The target is a $1 trillion economy, according to the president, and that's where we are headed. And you have a role to play in that. You agree? Of course. I must thank you so much. I think
we have a major role to play, and I can tell you the role of insurance in that space is to be able to put a structure in place that can de-risk a $1 trillion economy. And that has already started. A lot of work has started in this process. Currently, we are working, for instance, with the airline operators of Nigeria in terms of, massively unleashing the potential in the aviation sector. A lot of work is being done in a number of these areas. So, Tolu, I can tell you that the insurance sector is on the right path, and I'm happy to know that you're a partner in this process. So please keep on the good work, and please preach that gospel to Nigeria.
Thank you so much. Thank you. We hope to have you again in from evaluation of some of this, maybe in a matter of maybe months and all of that, so that we see how well we are moving along that
I'll
line.
be happy to share the success stories with you.
Thank you so much, Mr. Olusegun Ayo Omosheyin. He is the Commissioner for Insurance and, of course, Chief Executive Officer of the National Insurance Commission, Naicom. Thank you so much. Happy Valentine's Day. Enjoy your weekend.
Thank you very much, Tolu, and happy Valentine's Day to all Nigerians.
All right, then.